Hi, and welcome to Marsha's Mush and Stuff. Today we're going to take part in the What Would You Make challenge, hosted monthly by my friend Zana from OK at Home DIY and myself. And Cee J DIY is our special guest host today. But I'll talk more about that later. Moving on to DIY number one, we're going to use this little pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, also this chalk paint from Dollar Tree, and this chalk paint from Home Decor, a plaid product, and some school glue just to add a little texture. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble this and make sure that we have the back part facing the right way, because we're going to paint the inside black just so that we have a nice background. And I do like this paint from Dollar Tree. I think it gives good coverage. And so that's what I'm showing you here. We're just going to go ahead and paint all of the inside with the black chalk paint. And once we have finished that, I will show you the rest. We're going to use that. It's kind of like a mustard orange that we're going to use. I can't remember the name of it right now, but if I can find the link, I'll link it in my description box. But I'm going to take this time to go ahead and talk about the monthly What Would You Make challenge. It is hosted monthly by my friend Zana over at OK at Home DIY and our special guest host Cee J DIY, who I'll have listed in my description box, and the playlist link where you'll find tons of other creators and tons of inspiration. So don't forget to check out that description box below. So once we have the inside painted, we're going to use the school glue just to paint over the outside. I was going for a crackle effect at first, but then I decided, nope, I just wanted it to look a little weathered and a little aged, a little rustic, if you will. So, and yes, you should let the inside dry thoroughly. I thought it was, but the paint covers that up, so no worries there. So once you have applied the school glue, I take this little air dryer that I got off Amazon, this little drying tool, and I dry the glue partially and then paint over it. Not fully dry, just still tacky, and then go ahead and use it's kind of like a muted orange as well, and go ahead and give 2 full coats. And because it is chalk paint, it does cover well, but because of the light base, it does take 2 good coats to get the color that I was going for. But I think this turned out absolutely adorable. We're going to go ahead and dry that, and once we dry that, we get that textured look that I was going for. And then we're going to add a wood stem for the embellishments, which lost the footage for that, so I do apologize. And then in my craft stash, I also found a metal leaf, which I added to the top, and a jute bow for her hair. And that's what the texturizing looks like once you've added the glue. And then you just let that dry thoroughly. And here's the end result. And I think that looks ever so cute. It kind of turned this spooky little pumpkin into a happy little pumpkin with her little hair bow, is what I'm calling that jute bow. But let me know in the comments below which DIY was your favorite, number 1, 2, or 3. I just love that jute bow. I think that made all the difference in the world. And again, just wanted to remind you that this is a monthly challenge that we host, and we have a special guest host every month. And this month, thank you, a big shout out to Cee J DIY for participating and being the guest host. So now on to DIY number 2. We're going to use this shadow box, also from the Dollar Tree, this wooden shadow box, I should say. And we're going to use the Hot Wheels Racetrack, and we're going to make a racetrack lantern. I think these are so cool. I wish I knew who the person that it was their original idea. I would certainly give credit where credit's due. But I saw this on Facebook, so I definitely thought that I wanted to try it. And you could use E6000, however, mine would not come out of the tube. So I just used a generous amount of hot glue. I add a little more in the corners for reinforcement, but just go ahead and add it to the corners here on your Hot Wheels racetrack and secure that to the center. And we're going to crisscross it. But we are going to take this outside and we're going to use our Rust-Oleum hammered spray paint in dark bronze. And we're going to coat this thoroughly. Now, I did take it outside twice. I take it outside here and spray paint it. And then I take it outside again just to make sure that it's fully coated because that orange is a little hard to cover up. So here is the Rust-Oleum hammered spray paint that I was talking about. We go outside and this is the end result. And I painted that other strip separately. And then I'm going to secure it the same way that we did the first strip of the racetrack. And you guys, these are so easy to make and they look so high end. Definitely hope this gives you some inspiration to make one of your own. And the way that I embellished it or decorated it, I think it turned out absolutely gorgeous. Again, I don't have the footage of me decorating it, but you are going to see the end result with it decorated. We're also going to use a shower ring for the top of it. And just adhere that with your hot glue or E6000 as well. And then again, take that outside. This is where I give it a second coat of spray paint. Take that back outside, spray paint it, bring it back in and decorate it. Add some flowers to the top, some eucalyptus, and one of the LED candles to it. And that is what DIY number 2 looks like when it is finished. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. Now moving on to DIY number 3, we're going to take this wooden pumpkin that I did pick up from the Dollar Tree. Also this purse that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. And this is just some of the supplies that you're going to need. We're not going to use the hot glue. We're going to use the glue stick. But just trace that bag, trace your pumpkin out onto the bag, and then cut it. I cut one big square to start with, and then I go back and cut my pumpkin out of the square. And then you're still left with that, so you could use that for something else. And just making sure that I did get it right, that my measurements were accurate. And then I go ahead and cut that part out as well. And then once we get that part cut out, we're just going to use our jumbo Avery glue stick, also from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to apply a generous amount to our pumpkin, our wooden pumpkin there. And then we're going to secure this piece of fabric to that. So this is a way to step up any average Dollar Tree item that you may like but isn't your style. This is a way to change it out to match your home decor. And that's what I love about these Dollar Tree wood items, that I can change them out to match what my home decorations look like. And I do love this. It's sitting on my mantle as we speak. And the lantern is definitely setting out. And I do love all 3 DIYs. But again, let me know which one was your favorite. And once we secure that down, we're going to take the wood base that it was sitting on. We're going to give it a little haircut there, trim off anything, any excess fabric that's hanging over. Just go ahead and trim that off. And I do embellish the bottom of this one as well. So you can add embellishments after you're done with your DIY. Just by looking at it and deciding what it needs. I add it to the wood base using our hot glue gun. And once I have applied the hot glue, I go ahead and stick my pumpkin on there. Hold it in place for a minute just to make sure it's good and secure. And then we're going to make a jute bow for this one. Now, I do have the footage for that, so I show you how I make the jute bow, not only for this one, but also for DIY number 1. And I added some hot glue in the back to just double secure it, if you will. And fold over any excess fabric too. But once that is done, we're going to go ahead and take our jute, pull out as much as you think that you're going to use. And I think that I wrapped it around my fingers 15 times. It was either 12 to 15 times. But you can make it as big and fluffy as you want. But all you're going to do is loop it around your 4 fingers, holding it tight with your thumb. And once you have it completely wrapped around, again, like I said, I think I go around it 12 to 15 times. Then we're going to pull it off of our fingers and we're going to cinch it in the middle, cutting off any excess that's sticking out. And just keep holding it in the center. Cut an extra piece of jute so that we can tie it off in the center. And I do apologize, I wasn't quite in frame like I thought that I was. But all I am doing here is just tying a knot. I tie it 2 times in the center and then hot glue that to the top of the pumpkin. And I did make tails. So the piece of string I used, I made it long enough so that it would look like tails. And I just kind of pulled it back down. And you'll see it here in just a second. But again, let me know in the comment box below which one was your favorite. Kind of fluff your bow out there as well. And then secure it with hot glue. And I decided that the bottom was missing something. It just kind of looked plain to me. And there was a lot of hot glue there as well, where I had pulled it off, pulled the original off, and then had resecured it myself. So after looking at it for a minute, I decided that I would embellish the bottom part. But I did take a few pictures first to show you, because I did think about leaving it just kind of simple like this. And I burn off any excess just so it doesn't fray. So you can use a lighter to do that. You don't have to do this step. I just chose to. It also kind of gives it more of a rustic look too, I think. I even go around the little jute where there's any fraying. But once we are done with that, you're going to see in the final shots that I did embellish the bottom by adding Spanish moss and 3 of the tiniest little white pumpkins that I could find at the Dollar Tree. But that is the end of DIY number 3. So if you'll bear with me for just 1 second, here's some of the shots that I took, but again decided that it was just missing something on the bottom there, and that's when I decided to embellish it. And you'll see that coming up. And please don't forget to check out my description box for the playlist so that you can watch each and every person in today's What Would You Make challenge, as well as myself and Cee J DIY, her link as well. And there are the Spanish moss and the 3 little pumpkins. And I applied the Spanish moss using the spray adhesive, which I absolutely love. And I think that one turned out great. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until the next time, I will see you then. Have a wonderful and blessed day.